It's kind of strange, isn't it?
What's that?
Well, Melania Trump, she's always been so private, right? And now suddenly she's everywhere. A new book coming out, this big interview with Sean Hannity on Fox News.
Yeah, no, you're right. And the timing of it all, it definitely makes you wonder if this is all part of some bigger plan, especially with her husband maybe potentially running for president again.
Exactly. Like, is she trying to, I don't know, sway public opinion? Or is this just Melania, like, finally finding her voice?
It's a good question. A really good question. And it's something we're going to try to unpack in this deep dive. We're going to look at some of the things she's been saying, particularly in that Fox News interview,
Yeah.
and see if we can figure out what's really going on.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because, we have to admit, a pro-choice stance from someone so close to the Trump family, that's almost unheard of in today's political climate.
No kidding, it's a bombshell. But before we get to that, let's back up a bit. Melania says that she knew, like, from the very beginning, that Donald Trump was going to win back in 2016. She even told him, "You're going to win."
Wow.
Yeah, and she talks about how passionate he was, this idea that America was ready for something new, for a real change, and that he was the one to lead the way.
Interesting. It kind of paints him as more than just some ambitious politician.
Huh.
Like he was actually answering a call to serve the American people, and Melania saw that, recognized it.
Right, and she's putting herself right there next to him. It's this united front that we really haven't seen from them before.
It makes you think, doesn't it? Like, are we seeing a calculated strategy here? Or is there some genuine shift happening in how they're presenting themselves, especially Melania?
Yeah, and it's not just about his ambitions, it's also how she talks about, like, the state of things now. She doesn't hold back. She says that the world, and America in particular, is more divided, more dangerous than ever.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, why choose those words? Division, danger, it all feels very intentional.
It definitely taps into something, doesn't it? That fear of uncertainty, of things spinning out of control. It's a powerful way to connect with voters, especially those who feel like the world's become a scarier place. Whether or not that's actually true is another question, but the feeling is real for a lot of people. And it's not just, talking about the world in general. She gets kind of personal too, talks about threats, challenges her husband's had to deal with, especially lately.
Yeah, it's hard not to think about all the legal stuff, the criticism he's facing when she talks like that.
Right, like they're the victims in all this.
It's a familiar tactic, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it works. They know that, playing the victim card. It's a good way to get their base fired up. To the people who already see Trump as this strong leader, getting attacked from all sides, well, this just confirms it for them.
And when it comes to those attacks, Melania doesn't let the media off the hook. Not at all. She basically says they were scared of him, of his strength as a leader.
Yeah, that whole idea that the media is threatened by Trump, that they're out to get him, it's a common thread.
Totally. It feeds into that us versus them mentality. It's everywhere these days.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And by making the media the enemy, well, it discredits anything negative they might say about him. You can just write it off as biased, fake news, all that.
Exactly. And if you already distrust the media, well, Melania saying this is just going to make you trust them even less.
For sure.
So, okay, we have Melania kind of stepping up, echoing a lot of the same things we've heard from the Trump team before. But then there's this other thing, this thing that nobody saw coming. And it's got everyone talking. The fact that Melania is pro-choice. It's in her new book.
I mean, wow. That's not just some personal detail. This would be huge. We're talking about Donald Trump's wife here, right? And he's made it very clear he's anti-abortion. He's with the Republicans who want to overturn Roe v. Wade.
It's a big contradiction.
It is. It makes you wonder about so many things.
So how does this play with Republican voters? I mean, a lot of them are, like, really against abortion, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's a really tough issue.
Yeah.
And it could really backfire. Like, they could lose a lot of support if they're not careful.
But it could also go the other way, right?
How do you mean?
Well, maybe this is their way of trying to, like, soften his image a little, make him seem a bit more moderate, maybe appeal to voters who wouldn't normally go for Trump.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like maybe attract some women who are, on the fence about him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's definitely a gamble. It could really pay off, or it could totally blow up in their faces.
For sure. It's like, on one hand, you have Melania kind of following the Trump playbook, right? Playing the victim, going after the media, all that. But then she does a complete 180 with this pro-choice thing.
Exactly. It's like, who is the real Melania? Is she trying to, like, carve out her own space in all of this? Have her own voice?
Maybe.
Or is this all just, part of the plan?
It's hard to know, for sure.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, like, How much power does she really have? I mean, she's not a politician, but she's clearly got people's attention.
No doubt.
So what's next? Does she keep talking? Keep challenging people's expectations? Or was this just like a one-time thing? I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. But one thing's for sure. This whole thing with Melania, it's got everyone talking. And it really shows you there's always more to the story, isn't there? Especially with the Trumps.
You got that right.
All right, that's going to do it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening, everyone.